Cancer, this is your week ahead astrology forecast by Astrology Motivation from Born Without Boundaries. In this video, I review the major planetary aspects and transits for this week and how they're going to impact your natal sun and what that translates into for your day to day. All you need to know to enjoy this video is your birth date. That's it. But if you want to get real accurate, then after this video, go grab your natal chart. It's free on so many websites online. All you'll need is your birth date, your birth time, and your birth location. But stick with me right now so that you can understand the forecast for the astrology this week and really dig down into what you need to be aware of. Not beware of, but be aware. We're going to start really broad with the major big things that everybody needs to know. And then I'm going to focus down that information into Cancer-specific information, and then we'll break things down into the decans. A decan is a set of 10 degrees, and every zodiac sign has 3 of them because every zodiac sign has a total of 30 degrees. By doing this, astrologers help to understand exactly what aspects are forming with your natal sun, because not all of your natal suns are located in the same place in the zodiac sign of Cancer. And so they could be having a very different relationship with what's going on, what else is going on in the skies at this time, and that would make a very different result for all of you, even though you're all Cancerians. So pull up a seat and we're going to start going through it. And yes, I am selling these hats. My goal is to sell 100 of these Cancerian hats. www.bornwithoutboundariestarot.com. You can go shopping and purchase them there. Guys, I'm running this fundraiser for the channel because it really needs it. So just by your purchase, that's all. No donations, no contribution. This is it. You get a fabulously well-made, gorgeous hat with a adjustable back, metal clasp, and this is embroidery. This isn't painted on. This is actual embroidery. You can get them in black, you can get them in white, with this full color rainbow spectrum embroidery of the Born Without Boundaries Cancer Zodiac glyph. So please go and get yours today. If we sell 100 of them, I will have reached my goal. So please help me attain that. I love you guys so much and I appreciate your support. Let's get into the astrology. The big stuff. I always have it written down. That's where I'm looking, always, on my notes. So this week, it is just like the thumbnail and the title said, is from June 30th through July 6th. So we're ending the first decan birthdays. Happy birthday, first decan. And we're starting to go into the second decan birthdays. Happy birthday, second decan birthdays, which includes mine on July 6th. That's going to be the end of the week. So we're moving from June 30th to July 6th. The first thing that will happen is, well, all week long we'll get into, but on November 1st, Neptune goes into retrograde. And of all the outer planet retrogrades, this one actually causes me the most stir, because the others get really kind of toned down a little bit or more internal when they go into retrograde. So it's almost like, hey, the lion sleeps tonight. But when Neptune goes into retrograde, it's like it goes more introspective too. It kind of rests a little too. But when Neptune rests, it takes away our natural buffer, not our individual fantasies, but it takes away our natural buffer between reality and the netherworld. And that is very disturbing for most people. And so agitation and desperation to cling to something that will help them escape or will give them easy answers becomes more likely when Neptune goes into retrograde. And it'll be in retrograde right through the fall. Now, this is exacerbated by difficult aspects to Neptune while it's in retrograde. right now there aren't difficult aspects to Neptune. There's actually beautiful aspects to Neptune, and so I'm very, very happy for that. We have a long-term sextile to Pluto all the way through 2035, I believe it's going to exist, and this is helping us wake up our psychic abilities and recharge and change and like sort of metamorphosize our spiritual connection and our understanding to everything outside of reality. And this is going to be a dynamic change in our culture here on the globe. Pluto does that, and this is going to be generational. Neptune sextile Pluto is going to cover a whole like 15 years of people that are born. So this is a much more spiritual crew. This is a much more, especially when Pluto goes back into Aquarius, this is a much more spiritual crew. This is a much more awakened thinking, not normal, but doesn't mean that it doesn't exist, right? So this is a really actual beautiful conversation that I think that we needed to get back to, the change and the shift of it all. Hopefully not the destruction of it, but instead the destruction of what's getting in the way of it. That's what I'm hoping that because sextiles are positive. They take the best of both energies. So that's very optimistic. So, then we have on the 3rd, we have a full moon, and that absolutely impacts you guys. Full moons, this is legitimately the moon's time to shine. It's a full moon in Capricorn. The sun is in Cancer, so this is an extremely important full moon for you. It's powerful, and I want all you guys to grab your manifestation techniques. I've actually reposted one on my Vimeo channel to remind you that I did a manifestation techniques for when the moon is in an earth sign. This is it. This is the earth moon for you guys because it is your opposite. It is your polar opposite. So while the moon is in Capricorn, the sun is in Cancer, and it is conjunct to Mercury, making it a more powerful moon because the sun, which creates the full moon, is kind of highlighted or empowered by Mercury, which is talking and speaking and bringing things to light. And since full moons are about release and toxic energy being released and letting it go, there's an energy of speaking it, bringing it to light, bringing it into not being able to be ignored, to be seen. And the moon during this full moon is trine to both Uranus in Taurus and Jupiter in Taurus, which means we want to expand and release and let go all of the toxins that are keeping us from our unusual selves, growing outside, getting outside of our norm, getting outside of what we've always done in a sense of finding harmony with. Other options can be on the table here now, especially with that think tank of the sun conjunct Mercury helping us out. And also, during this process, the sun is trine to Saturn. So sun trine Saturn is very, very, it's like taking personal authority over yourself and being responsible and owning what you really feel and what you really think. So we could be quite blunt around this full moon. Just an FYI, especially those of you Cancers in the second decan of Cancers like me, who are 100% going to be conjunct to this sun when the moon is when the moon is full. This would be, I believe, Cancers who are born between I would say the 11th and the 14th, especially, that sun is going to be in a tight conjunction with your natal sun, and so is Mercury. It's going to be sitting right on top of it. So this gives you sort of exponential ability to express yourself, to be heard, for information to come out, for opportunities to come in ways that you've looked for, you've searched for, you've figured out. This is really kind of expressive energy for us. So we'll get deeper into that when we go into the decans. On the 4th, the day after the full moon, on the 4th, happy Independence Day, by the way, to everybody who's in the United States of America. I hope you have a fantastic 4th of July. We have the moon conjuncting Pluto on the 4th. So the moon moves from the middle of Capricorn to the end of Capricorn, which is where Pluto is, and it perfectly conjuncts Pluto on the 4th around midday. at least midday in the United States, just to FYI. This is a very emotional conjunction because the moon is now sextile to Neptune as well. It's not just emotional though, it is psychic. And so you are going to be highly charged Cancerians when it comes to that psychic energy on the 4th, even seeing beyond the veil. There could be a lot of conversations, help that you get from ancestors, or dreams that are starting to come through. You're probably already starting to feel it, to be honest with you. Venus is also conjunct to Mars this week. It started last week. This conjunction lasts for the rest of this week, actually into the week after. It is a strong, tight conjunction in Leo. Powerfully sexual energy, powerfully even romance, because Leo rules romance. But I like this conjunction because it is trine to Chiron, which means we're healing by learning from really tough lessons, and it's square to Uranus, which means there's an insistence upon change and rebellion against the norm. But the trine to Chiron implies that it's because we've learned that the norm is hurting us. So those things that have done us wrong, this is an educated kind of change. It's not random rebellion. There's a sense of, I'm not going to make the same mistakes I have in the past. Now, Jupiter all this week is also sextile to the Sun and sextile to Saturn, which means doors wide open for opportunities and advancements, especially in your career or your financial situation, since Jupiter is right there in Taurus and the Sun is in Cancer, which is about nurturing and growth, and the Sun in Cancer really loves to protect and expand on money. And then the sextile to Saturn means we can get it done. We can figure out how to do it. We can be enterprising. And Saturn and the Sun are trine all week, which means maturity, which means respectability, which means taking responsibility and being self-controlled. This is beautiful energy this week. I love this week. Let's get into Cancer-specific energy. And for Cancer-specific energy, I look at two things. I look at what's going on in the zodiac sign of Cancer. And then I look at what's going on with our ruling dignitary, which all the world knows the moon. It's so funny. I don't know why more astrologers don't understand this. Everybody knows how moody Cancer is. It's a stereotype of us, and it's not even necessarily true, though it kind of is, to be honest. And the reason it's true is because our ruling dignitary changes zodiac signs every 2.5 days. That changes our mode. That changes our mood, which is why I don't understand why other astrologers don't look at what the ruling dignitary for other signs is doing. Some of them, you don't see the changes as fast, but that doesn't mean the changes aren't happening. It doesn't mean even though maybe their ruling dignitary isn't going to change signs, like Pluto with Scorpio which is the fixed sign, right? Doesn't change for up to 30 years. It can be in the same place. But it's being acted upon in different ways while it's there, because it's forming other aspects to planets that are moving faster with it. So it's really important to know what's going on with your ruling dignitary, and especially for us, because our ruling dignitary moves around so fast, and especially for Virgo and Gemini, because Mercury moves really fast too. So ultimately, it's nice to keep a tight watch on what's going on, and that's why I always suggest you guys get yourselves a moon calendar. This isn't a sales pitch because I don't sell one. I just highly recommend always knowing where that moon is. So where is the moon this week? This week, the moon is traveling between Sagittarius and Aquarius, which, interestingly enough, what is the full moon interacting with? Well, the full moon is interacting with, it's trine to Jupiter and it's trine to Uranus, and our moon, while it moves toward the full moon, is moving through Sagittarius into Aquarius. And that's their two ruling dignitaries. So this is really kind of kismet. That's all I can say. The moon is full on the 3rd. Like I said, it is trine to Jupiter and trine to Uranus as it is full at its peak, with the sun sextile to Jupiter and trine to Saturn. That's all happening while that moon is full. So this is peak performance and exposure. extremely important energy. And then we have the next day on the 4th, Pluto conjunct the moon. Now for us, it's going to be a very emotional day because the moon and Pluto is very emotional, taking things to the extreme, releasing hard energy that we've repressed inside of ourselves. But there's also a sextile to Neptune, so there is an opportunity for faith and connectivity, and even a reason for our psychic abilities to kick on and be activated. That is going to be a very, very intuitive and psychic day for us. And leading up to there, I would expect the same. 100%. Write down those dreams, cast out those emotions, and use your power to actually get things done, because the 3rd and the 4th is a very powerful day, especially since, you know, full moons last like that whole 3-rage day, right? So the 2nd, 3rd to 4th. So it's really not even out of its full moon power yet when it conjuncts Pluto, which just supercharges it. Get her done is all I'm trying to say. Very, very emotional day. Doesn't mean anything bad is going to happen. It just means that something tremendous is, we're going to feel it. We're gonna experience it and really expand upon us, force us out of our confines. So that's exceptional energy right there. And on the 6th, that's my birthday. Happy birthday to me. The moon is going to be in direct opposition to this Venus conjunction with Mars, which is just emotional stuff happening with our relationships, with our sexuality, sensuality. It could even be highly stimulated, because oppositions are just overstimulation, which is why they never leave you alone. There's always going to be a challenge there. So while that opposition happens that day on the 6th, it's just something's heavily charged, highly charged. I'm not saying it's going to be bad, but what I'm saying is it is going to be. And it's got to do with Venus, Mars, taking action of your sexuality, your sensuality, sexual attraction, relationships. Also could be financial situations that you want to push through and do something with. It'll be hyperactive, and it won't leave you alone that day. FYI. Let's get into the decans and discuss specifically how all this is impacting you guys. So the decan is a group of 10 degrees. If you know that your natal sun is between 0 and 9 degrees, Cancerians, you are Cancer 1, because your sun, your natal sun, falls within the first decan of Cancer. So this correlates to June Cancerians. And I gotta say, out of all of us, June Cancerians, you are really having the best year out of all of us. Not that the rest of us are having a bad year, but you guys are having the best year. This correlates to birthdays between, say, the 22nd, sometimes the 21st, because sometimes Cancer season begins on the 21st, like it did this year. So it could be 21st, 22nd through the 30th and the 1st of July. This is like the first, say, 10 days of Cancer season. That's what it would cover. Oh, I didn't even go over what was going on in Cancer, the zodiac sign. So in Cancer, the zodiac sign, the sun is going to move between 8 and 14 degrees Cancer. That means it's primarily in the second decan of Cancer all week long. And then Mercury is going to move between 8 and 20 degrees Cancer. So that means it is predominantly goes through the entire second decan. It touches the third decan, and it starts in the end of the first. So Mercury moves really fast. That's pretty huge. But that's where it'll be primarily. There's a lot of heat around the second decan this week, just an FYI. So first decan, however, anywhere your natal sun, your birthdays would be between, say, the 21st and the 1st of July, or the 22nd and the 1st of July, around that span of time. Definitely Gemini cuspers. So on the 30th, which is today, your natal sun's, the sun is in perfect conjunction with Mercury. It's at 8 degrees Cancer, and that will be conjunct your natal suns. This is going to be bright, exceptional. You can speak to anything. Your mind will be yours, and you'll be able to articulate it, being seen and having your information the information that you have and the knowledge that you have being seen and being noted and being important. This will be a very speaking time for you. Importance in what you say. That is 100%, especially since while this happens, the sun is trine to Saturn, having authority over what you say and really being respected for it. So this is a really great day for you. If you're born at the end of the first decan, which would be your birthdays are around the 30th of June or the 1st of July. So it would be those of you born today, happy birthday, by the way, or the 1st of July. Don't forget to say rabbit, rabbit. If your natal suns, if your birthdays are those days, then your natal suns will be conjunct to the sun conjunction to Mercury through the 3rd. So not through the 6th. It'll have moved beyond there by you. So it won't be all week long. And certainly those of you born earlier on in the first decan, it will fade, so definitely enjoy it, especially today. But if you guys were born around the 30th or the 1st of July, then you'll feel that the power of that sun, current sun, Mercury conjunction all the way through the 3rd of July. That's what I was trying to write to myself, so I thank you for your patience. All week long, your natal suns are sextile to Jupiter, so this is huge opportunity, broader and bigger than maybe you even ask for, but so definitely ask for it because it'll be better than you imagined. And then we have, if your natal suns are, if your birthdays are around the 30th or the 1st of July, then they're in a square to Neptune, and they will be. That is a kind of a long-term thing, actually. So definitely watch that your creativity doesn't distract you. And a good way to do that is to find a creative conduit and schedule a specific time to do it, like give it the boundaries that it needs, because it can challenge your brain to be a little bit foggy, and that's long term. So just an FYI. All of your natal suns are trine to Saturn, which means all of you are going to experience a great deal of personal authority and maturation over this next year. And then this week, your natal suns are sextile to the Venus conjunction to Mars. This is a super powered, sensual, and beautiful energy for really expanding and growing your relationships, your romantic energy, and really discovering who you are in terms of the way you value yourself and who you're attracted to. You guys also in the first decan of Cancer have a long-term quincunx to Pluto. Long-term quincunx to Pluto means there is frustrating change. You're going to be frustrated and stimulated and almost agitated into change. And that'll be going on for quite some time for the next couple of years because Pluto don't move fast. FYI. Now let's get into the second decan. The second decan of Cancer is if your natal sun is between 10 and 19 degrees Cancer, it falls within the second decan of Cancer. You are Cancer 2s. This is the birthdays between the 2nd of Cancer, maybe all the way through the 10th or the 11th of Cancer. So that kind of first quasi, depending on what year it is, could start on the 1st as well. So natal charts will give you the specifics, but it's in that range. Say from the 1st through the 10th. It's about you guys. Could be into the 11th. You are the ones, I should say, we are the ones that have that natal sun, that sun sitting on top of our natal suns during the full moon. The full moon is in direct opposition to us. This is a highly activated, agitated, frustrated time, but it's powerful. Please use your energy to manifest. It also means that our natal suns are conjunct Sun, Mercury conjunction all week long. It also means that we are also means that because the sun, while it's still trine to Saturn, absolutely. If you're born around the 1st or 2nd of July, your natal suns are sextile to Jupiter. If you're born around the 9th, 10th, and even the 11th of July, then your natal suns are sextile to Uranus. It's a tighter sextile. What does that mean? For both of you, it means expansion and growth. For those of you born around the 9th, 10th, it means that you're finding opportunities because you're rebelling against your norm. You're finding opportunities maybe even in tech or technology, stuff like that. You're finding opportunities because you are interested and stimulated by not being normal and not doing the same things. And then if you're born around the 1st or 2nd, it's more stimulated by curiosity and education and wanting to absorb all the lessons you learn from traveling or from getting out there and meeting new people. Either way, this is a stimulated time for you that it is offering you growth and expansion. So beautiful energy. This is a very stimulating time for you. This is a very active time for you, especially around the 4th, the 3rd and the 4th, around that full moon. It is kind of combustible energy for you guys. Focus it and use it and allow it to help you move forward. Focus it on something that is especially important to you and just make it happen, because I promise you'll have the energy and the power to be able to do it. FYI, there's also a semi-square to the Venus conjunction with Mars. So that could mean just agitation or stubbornness. Something's got to give when it comes to sexual tension building up inside of you, tension with your romantic relationships, or just stimulus to get you out there again, even if you're not ready. FYI. All right, and now we have the third decan. Third decan of Cancer is, if you know your natal suns are between 20 and 29 degrees Cancer, you are third decan Cancer. You are Cancer 3s. This usually includes those people born between the 11th and the 31st, or sometimes just the 12th and the 31st, depending on the 12th and the 21st, or 12th to the 22nd, depending on which year it ranged. The sun was in Cancer, but it's around like the 11th to the 21st. Those are Cancer 3s. Your natal sun are opposite Pluto. So there's big dynamic and permanent changes that are going on in your life, part of your natural growth cycle. That is long term. You guys are in direct opposition, therefore, on the 4th, July 4th, when the moon conjuncts Pluto. Very powerful, stimulating, and perhaps emotional day for you, where something has to break apart in order for something new to be constructed from it. Since the moon is in Capricorn at this time and Pluto is in Capricorn, could have a lot to do with laws, rules, regulations, and your career. FYI. Could also have to do with your family matters. FYI. You are square to the nodes. That's long term too. The square to the nodes means you are going through a very dynamic change, a very dynamic it's like you're moving, you're turning the corner. You're turning the corner in your life right now to move, and you'll start to see this change happening in you. What you used to like, you don't like anymore. What used to interest you, you're interested in kind of the opposite of it, because you're looking for growth. And so this is because Pluto is opposite to your natal suns while this is happening, I'm talking about dynamic changes. It's leveling up. You're never going to go back to the caterpillar stage. This is about blossoming and blooming and all the challenges that come from it. And then we have this week, especially if you're born around the 11th or 12th of July, we have a sextile to Uranus, which means you want to change and you're curious about rebelling against anything that you normally do. And this is where opportunities are going to come from you. They're also going to be surprises to you, because Uranus loves to surprise people, but the sextile means it will work out and it will be positive surprises. If you're born around the 11th or 12th, your natal suns have been square to Chiron for quite some time. I think this goes all the way back, though. If you're born even a little bit earlier than that, you're really feeling that strong connection to Chiron, because Chiron's at 19 degrees. So there's just this sense of, especially those of you born at the end the beginning, because this is Cancer 3, especially those of you born at the beginning of Cancer 3. Those of you born around the 11th or 12th, you're already starting to feel this square to Chiron. So what does that mean? Challenges. Oh, that's what I meant. Square to Chiron. Challenges. Challenges, everything will be difficult. Everything will seem like it has to be done the hard way. Why does everything have to be done the hard way? Because when your natal sun is square to Chiron, it is when your balls are being busted to teach you what you need to become the better version of yourself. And that lasts for a couple of years. Just an FYI, it's going on to all of us. We've all been experiencing it, and it is a shitstorm, but it is also teaching us and preparing us for that next level, which means we are leveling up right now. It's just a slow, difficult process. This is our training ground. And of course, a long-term trine to Neptune, which means the psychic energy is going to be off the hook for you this week. I would not be surprised if you are dreaming about and talking to your ancestors and having prophetic dreams and really growing and expanding when it comes to your faith, what you believe in, how you believe, and who you are, especially intuitively and psychically. So you let me know in the comments below how all of this is impacting you guys. I love you so much. Please remember to subscribe to the channel. Please remember to help this channel out by buying these hats. It is so essential at this point. I can't underestimate it. These hats, these hats, these hats. Buy them for your friends. I have them in all signs. All signs. I got Taurus here. This is the black version. I have Cancer here. This is the white version. It is so imperative. And they're so cute. And then come on over to Born Without Boundaries Tarot for your week ahead tarot card reading. I love you guys, and I'll talk to you next week. Happy 4th.